All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have a Los Angeles Lakers video. We're going to go through a couple of three-point shooters and a big man in this video. They traded for Russell Westbrook yesterday, gave up their draft pick, Montrezl Harrell, KCP, and Kyle Kuzma. I thought it was a good deal. I'm kind of surprised that it actually went through. I guess they had a deal extremely close, practically done with Buddy Hield and Trez and Kuzma to go to Sacramento, but I guess it fell through. So we're going to go through a couple of three-pointers. We're going to start it off with Otto Porter Jr., but most importantly, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that sub button. I post Lakers content every single day. I know you guys would like it. So Otto Porter Jr., the reason I'm so big on him, you guys know I'm from Chicago. He's had his injury issues. He wasn't the most reliable. He's never really been the most durable player. But I think a reserved role on a team like the Los Angeles Lakers would be so beneficial for Otto and for the Lakers. Now, he shot 40.2% from deep on his career. Last season, he shot 37.5% in an injury-riddled COVID season. So just very promising three-point numbers to his career. I mean, above 40% shooter. He's a good 3-and-D player. I feel like he's extremely underrated just because he's had such bad injury problems throughout pretty much the entirety of his career. However, what would be so perfect about him coming to the Lakers is that he wouldn't have to play 35 minutes a night like he's been expected to on other teams. He would be able to play 20 minutes, 15 minutes even, at a reserved role, pretty much just doing his job, playing solid defense and hitting open shots. That's exactly what the Lakers are looking for this season. On the past year, he averaged 10 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 2 assists in only 28 games. So that's really his biggest weakness in my eyes. That's why he isn't going to get paid a lot of money. That's why, it's essentially why his NBA career has pretty much become non-existent, is because of injuries, and that's about it. So I think he's at that point in his career where it's time to start winning and it's time to start prioritizing your body, making sure you're healthy, making sure you're resting your body. And I think he would get that perfectly in LA. Next up, we're going to talk about Dwight Howard. He had a defensive rating of 102.3 this past season, so I wanted to talk about him. He had 8.5 rebounds per game, 7 points, and a block in 69 games. I think Dwight Howard would be the perfect reunion. I won't talk about him for too long because he isn't a three-point shooter, and I think something that the Lakers really need to prioritize right now is three-point shooting. But something that goes overlooked is just big men. I mean, Andre Drummond, he posed not too many bright spots this past playoffs with DeAndre Ayton just kind of bullying him. And so to have a guy like Dwight Howard who's been on this team, he's played with their core, he's won a championship with their core, he'd be able to come in here and play his role. He wouldn't become a complete defensive liability as Andre Drummond has sometimes become when paired up against guys like DeAndre Ayton. Honestly, I would like to see Dwight Howard start if they picked him up. I think he was a huge reason for their success when they won the championship. And honestly, I just think he would be perfect for this team. I think he never should have left. I think the rumor or the report is that they had a deal set in place. He was all excited, and then the Lakers, they fell through. So tough ending, but hopefully Dwight Howard can find himself back home somehow. I mean, I think it's a match made in heaven. So next up, we'll talk about Patty Mills. This past season, he averaged 10.8 points per game, 2.5 assists, and 1.7 rebounds in 68 games. He shot 37.5% from deep. This is just a solid playmaking, three-point shooting point guard that can come off the bench. Patty Mills, this is another match made in heaven. The Lakers, they have a role that they need him to come in and do. Literally just playmake and shoot open threes off the bench. It would be perfect. He'd even be able to get some run as the starter when Russ needs some break. And I love it. I think it's a match made in heaven. Next up, we'll talk about J.J. Redick. Apparently, J.J. Redick, this is from a Evan Massey tweet. JJ Redick's market isn't going to be huge, but a handful of teams are expected to have interest. Among those teams are the Lakers, Knicks, 76ers, and Nets. Championship hopeful teams need elite shooting. Redick can still provide just that. That's exactly what he can do. That is exactly what he can do. He hit 37.1% from deep this past season. Not the greatest year. He dealt with injury as well. Only played in 44 games. 7.5 points and a rebound and a half a game and an assist a half per game. However, you go back to just 2 years ago in New Orleans where he averaged 15.3 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2 assists on 45.3% from deep. So I think, honestly, a lot of this just has to do with COVID, injuries, just kind of a wacky year for everybody, especially veterans. JJ Redick, his season gets a pass in my eyes. As Evan Massey pointed out, championship hopeful teams need elite shooting, and that's exactly what he provides. So I think he would be perfect. I know I've made a couple of videos about him at the trade deadline. I really wanted them to get JJ. I don't know why they didn't, but maybe the asking price was too big. Let's talk about another player I think the Lakers should have gotten last trade deadline. Wayne Ellington. He should be relatively cheap. He just finished up a season in Detroit. He shot 42.2% from deep last year, averaged a little under 10 points per game. Doesn't really do much other than shoot the deep ball, but he is a reliable, three-point consistent shooter. And the Lakers, if Buddy Hield isn't coming here, even if the Lakers find a way to get Buddy Hield, they still lack elite, and not even elite three-point shooting. They just straight up lack three-point shooting. Ben McLemore is their best three-point shooter right now. Ben McLemore and Wesley Matthews are really the only two players on the Los Angeles Lakers who can hit threes at a above average rate. And honestly, I don't think Ben McLemore is going to be coming back. I'm not sure about Wesley Matthews. So I think Wayne Ellington, I think JJ Redick, I think both of those two players are perfect. I really like Patty Mills as the backup point guard as well. These are all cheap options. That's the best part about it. So let me know down in the comments below who you guys want the Lakers to go pick up for or trade for. That's going to be it for today. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers, so every subscription helps, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.